Due to popular request, here is my very brief stance on net neutrality. I don't want to take up too much of your time, and that's really just because I do not have much to say on the matter. I am with the 99% of you who agree that this is a terrible idea. I was kind of skeptical about talking about it because I was kind of worried that that would get into more of a political side, and I don't want this tech channel to be about politics. But this really does talk a lot about internet providers, and it talks a lot about letting internet providers control which businesses get different internet speeds depending on who pays who. And that does very much upset me, given that all of my life I have struggled with internet speeds. And the man who is proposing that we repeal a lot of that net neutrality law, I just feel like is the worst example of the common day guy and is definitely not seeing the point of view as most Americans. When I was growing up, we always had terrible internet at my house, and it was the only internet available. We did not have a wide selection of providers to choose from, as so many people who want to repeal net neutrality have brought up, that if a certain company starts down throttling certain sites, you have the option to choose a different provider to get your internet from. That has never sounded more ridiculous to me because all of my life there has always been like a single internet provider that is worth it. Back in my household, we used to have data caps on things like HughesNet, which is a dish on our house pointed at a satellite, which meant that when clouds were out, our internet was slower, and we had a data cap. So if we just watched like 10 to 20 hours of playback between the 5 people in my family within a 30-day period, our speeds would be down throttled to basically unusable. Then we found out there was a more unlimited service from AT&T called Uverse, which consisted of 1 megabit down for 5 people, each of these people having multiple devices, and upload was next to impossible at being measured in kilobits, not megabits. This meant that whenever I wanted to upload videos and have that freedom that I think everyone should have, I had to go to someone else's house who had Comcast. Every single time I wanted to upload. Just uploading from my house was not possible, and back in the day when I used to upload my incredibly amateur home movies in 480p, it would still take 8 to 9 hours of uploading. Also, our AT&T internet would cut out every now and then, and we would just have no internet for a few hours and then it would come back on. Then finally, Verizon announced Verizon Unlimited, and we had pretty good LTE service at our house. And you guys, I think, remember that. I was able to live stream and upload from my room in my attic, and that worked out pretty well for a while. I had to hotspot everything from the phone, and that did pretty good. Not the best. It would have been better to have Wi-Fi because hotspotting the phone all the time definitely ruined the phone's battery life. It meant that my phone always had to be plugged in, but it got the job done. And then it was announced that Verizon was going to be down throttling our speeds as soon as you went over about 15 gigabytes on your mobile hotspot. And since I basically used that in a single day, clearly using my Verizon Unlimited plan was not going to work as my sole Wi-Fi provider. So that was one of the primary reasons I started looking for a new office space, a place that would actually have good internet. I had it in my budget, so I rented out this location, and here we are. With pretty good Wi-Fi, the best Wi-Fi I've ever had in my life. 250 down, 40 up. It's definitely not the fastest in the world, but for me, it does great. It lets me live stream, I can upload videos pretty fast, and within my area, it's pretty much as fast as it can get up here in Northern California. And now I'm hearing about the government thinking that internet providers should have the choice to slow down certain sites if they'd rather you use other ones. And I'm just thinking, look, you're not fast enough already. You're not fast enough to support a neutral internet where all sites get the same speed. I know countless numbers of friends and family that can't get good Wi-Fi at their residence. So the idea of down throttling certain sites is like, it feels like you're already down throttling. You already cannot provide decent enough internet to a lot of America. If you look at the internet speeds they have in places like Japan and South Korea, they're approaching gigabit. But then you have the rural areas of the United States as well as Australia where they're still trying to fight to get an internet connection that is decent. And in the US at least, that's even with the net neutrality law. So this idea of introducing the idea that the already pre-existing Wi-Fi, which isn't very good, should be even slower for certain sites is absolutely ridiculous. I think it's kind of a miracle when Google and Tailosive Tech actually agree on something. I do not think net neutrality is saying that governments should have an impact on the way businesses run themselves. This is a law that is both Democrat and Republican at the same time because it's a government regulation that is saying don't mess with the options. So it's a government reinforcing enforcement, which a lot of Democrats would be on the side on, but the law itself is to not tinker with what we already have, to be more conservative. So Republicans and Democrats actually agree on this thing, and yet it seems like this thing is going to be passed. And I'm just dumbfounded at the idea that we have a nation and we have a population that is basically 90% sure on this, and there's very few people in the population that genuinely think it would be a good thing. Pretty much everyone is against this, and we want the internet to stay the same so that you can watch me just as fast as you can watch Hulu, and Comcast should not intervene. And no, the response to that shouldn't be, well, you don't have to use Comcast. That's not true. We're already in a monopolistic area. So much of the people in this country do not have the choice between Comcast and Uverse. At the location I'm at right now, if I wanted to switch away from Comcast and start using AT&T, I would have download speeds that are a 25th of what we have now. We would have 10 megabits down and 1 megabit up. It would mean no more live streams. It would mean streaming stuff and downloading stuff would be minimum like 360p, especially with all the devices I have. And I can't believe that there's government officials out there who just believe that all consumers have a ton of options. This is not like buying a smartphone. Internet providers have not reached the point yet where we have a vast array of internet providers to choose from. There's just one provider in the area that you are at, and you're fairly forced to use them. If you want internet at all, you basically have to use that company. Like, I have to use Comcast. There's really not any choice in the matter. It's not like there's some other provider that's better or offers a better deal. It's really just them. And I feel like that when a government is deciding on something that affects all of its people, as so much of this country is using the internet now, and it's what employs people, it's what allows me to do what I do, and I think it's this great innovation, probably one of the best creations of mankind that this century is going to see. How it connects people, how it allows us to learn, and how it changes us as a race and makes the world feel a lot smaller because you're listening to a 19-year-old in Northern California and you could be anywhere in the world. This internet is a great and beautiful place, and I don't believe that messing with this beautiful formula we have standing right now is going to fix anything. And you really cannot see the counter argument. See, I like to play devil's advocate on my channel. When everyone says they love the Razer phone or they love the OnePlus 5T, I'm always the guy to kind of say, not really a big deal. I kind of try to see things from both sides and understand the argument. With net neutrality, I don't understand what the opposite side of the argument is. I try to read up on it, I try to learn about it, and I can't really see a definitive answer as to what the advantages are to repealing it. So I could tell you to call your congressman or congresswoman, but at the same time, I'm absolutely aware that I'm not a huge YouTuber, and tons of other YouTubers are probably having you call them already. I'm sure they're swamped. It's all over the media right now. All YouTubers and media outlets are making stances on it, so I'm not going to tell you to do that because I feel like the Congress people who are going to vote on this matter have already made up their minds. But when this law affects so many people, it really should be up to the people. And I don't necessarily think that's taking a Democrat or Republican stance. That's just common sense. The reason they're not letting the people vote on this is because it would be unnecessary. The government knows exactly what people would vote if they had the option to vote, should we keep net neutrality or repeal it? Everyone knows exactly what we would say. Keep it the way it is, and I think that means that the Congress people up there in Washington have a responsibility of representing us, and I'm hoping that they're going to make the right choice. I'm hoping that everyone predicting this is going to fall is wrong and we get a surprise, but yeah, it's going to royally suck if Comcast has control over speeds on certain websites, which they have tried to change many times, and as a lot of the internet would say, it's kind of like EA controlling your internet. It wouldn't go very well. Anyways, I'd love to hear your thoughts and comments. If there is a counterpoint, if there is a reason to repeal it, I'd love to hear it because I'm honestly trying. I cannot find a single one. I cannot find a single reason as to why this is a good idea other than the internet providers get to make more money. I would gladly pay more for my internet, Comcast, if you just made it faster. When you're a business, you don't necessarily have to start charging for things we already had to make more money. If you look at how Apple does it, you simply make better products. And if you're an internet provider, your goal should be to make better internet, not make it cost more. I firmly don't believe there is a good internet provider out there. Like Xfinity and Comcast gets you into these agreements. They don't have great customer support. They go down sometimes. The product can be good, it can be fast, but the process of setting it up, the calling process and installation process is so complicated, and it's very not based on the customer. Google Fiber sounds really, really cool, but it is only available in a handful of towns. AT&T Uverse dies all the time, and yet costs more than Xfinity. This is true. So I don't think we should be rewarding these companies with laws. We should not repeal net neutrality so that profit is easier for them. I think they have a responsibility to make a better product, not start adding extra add-ons. So let me know all of your your opinions, as I said, in the comments below. This is your Apple Sheep here, and I will see you in the next one.